As some of you may know, I recently learned about a hack that was possible within Raid Shadow Legends. I immediately made a video about it in the hopes of exposing this and that it would be dealt with as quickly as possible. But to my surprise, in the 24 hours following the release of this video, I have learned so much from other content creators, the comment section of that video, and the company itself that I feel the need to further expand on the topic and explain why I did what I did in the way that I did it. I also want to briefly touch on the other hacks or exploits or tools at this point that we are using in the game to give certain players advantages over other players. In the end, I believe we're somewhat living a big lie. In the absence of an official statement by the company almost 48 hours after the release of this video, I feel that I need to stress or to remind you guys that this is a bannable offense. This is not to be used. This was certainly not an instructional video or a guide video on how to do it. I learned about it myself that same day. I had my own doubts. Therefore, I went into demonstrating how it actually works, and I decided to put it out there immediately so that it was dealt with as quickly as possible. That was my only intention. Some might say this was a disservice to the game or the community. In my mind, this was a service. I was simply trying to help out the community, the company, have a control on this as quickly as possible. But apparently, I'm one of those ignorant fools that did not know about this, and this was apparently somewhat dealt with before, and a handful of players still knew about it and perhaps had the ability to continue using it without any repercussions. And I have proof for that in the form of a comment by a player following that video. I've been using this for 4 months, low pattern, running it on 2x, usually less than 500 gems, and stick to low G4. I suppose he's saying it doesn't really affect platinum. Yes, this could provide an unfair advantage in platinum or tournaments, but for the majority of people, it won't make a difference due to being limited by in-game resources. Now, this is true if you don't buy extra resources. Maybe you get to accomplish everything twice as fast, but others do not. But what about the players who are buying more resources and keep going so they can accomplish twice as much in the same amount of time? 2x works great for clan boss. That 30-minute run is now 15 minutes. Great. I would love to be able to do that as well. It's such a huge time saver. 2x in arena, faction wars, doom tower becomes pretty common for the game to error out if you run it under 1 minute. Okay, so there are some ways to control this. Assume the same would be for dungeons. I don't know. I don't have a fast team. Okay, you can set it to 10x to roll gear and not have to wait a million years. It rolls faster than using another third-party app to limit the frame rate, which he is referring to Bluestacks and Riva Tuner, which we've heard about as well many times before. So again, is this a hack or is this a tool at this point? I don't know. Turning up the speed does not refresh the market quicker, Sparring Pit doesn't level faster, the gem mine doesn't produce gems faster, and your daily rewards don't come quicker. I just want to make that clear. All of that information is server side. This is speeding up the game on your device, okay? Energy, clan boss keys, and arena tokens are server side as well. So even though your game is showing you that you are regenerating them quicker, you are actually not. I think this is good that this is clarified as well. It will give an error when you try to run whatever, reloading the game or just going to a different menu reloads the correct amount, okay? Speaking of server side, Plarium saying they can't make the speeds faster because of technical issues, he calls BS. Possibly. You make less calls to the server running a dungeon at 4x than what summoning events or rolling artifact gear does. Good point. 4x needs to be in the game for everyone in PvE content. It has 100% prevented me from a burnout in this game. It would save everyone 1 to 2 hours of their day, which is massively needed, or people will just quit. Well, that's just a question, right? We all are desperately wanting the game to be faster. People are compelled to cheat because there are too many things to do. But it becomes cheating because only certain players get to do it while others do not. So why was it known by other players, and why were certain players allowed to use it low key while others were not? That is the big issue at hand here. That is the big lie, because to be frank, if I would have learned about this before I made my video, it would have probably been a lot different and most likely much worse, which leads me to the tools, exploits, or hacks. I feel like the line has become a little bit blurred on what's acceptable and what isn't. If I get information regarding a fusion, I take that information and I just create a guide or a table like this to help you guys. I don't think that's an exploit or a hack, right? If somebody takes all the champions in the game, they create an index out of it, I still don't think that's a hack or an exploit. If somebody creates a clan boss calculator from known information from within the game, like the clan boss speed and whatnot, I still don't think that's a hack, right? But when, let's say, you start using auto clickers, so you're going against the company to say, hey, I want to do more multi-battles than the regular folks, and now I can run this overnight non-stop. So all of a sudden, you have the regular players who've been playing for over 2 years, like myself, that have about 20,000 dungeon runs total, 22,000, give or take. But then you have other players who are at 70,000 dungeon runs or more. So how is that fair? They're clearly exploiting the game to be able to progress faster. Not only that, but they're pushing the difficulty of the game further and further and further up by speeding up their gameplay. Now back to the speed hack, imagine how worse that is. Not only are players playing more, they're playing faster. And again, I won't sit for that, you know, they're not spending more resources on this. Of course they are. Of course they are. This is a competitive game. Players want to win. Players will do just about anything to win. In fact, that's probably human nature to some extent. So I'm not surprised that players would like to, in a sense, maybe keep this under the radar. And I think that's the most frustrating part here, is that they're allowed to let this go, right? Because it was well contained to some extent. That's what I'm understanding from all this. And so as long as it's not damaging the entire community and that the players that knew about it used it wisely, it is fair. It can go on. I just don't agree with that. And if you guys disagree with that point of view, then let's agree to disagree, because I'm just not gonna sit for this. I built an entire YouTube channel around a game, and I've played by the rules since day one. I recently used a handful of times an auto clicker overnight. I cheated, I exploited, because heck, everybody's doing it and I thought it was acceptable. We can also, for instance, look at the gear optimizer, which is a fantastic tool. I have used it as well because other players are using it. But think about it for a second here. Other players get to perfectly tune their champions, and then you face those players in the arena, whereas a regular player might not know about it and might not have a perfectly tuned player because he spent 3 hours trying to do it and he still didn't get it perfectly, right? So however you look at it, you do get an advantage over other players if you use these certain tools or hacks or exploits. But where's the line between this one's a hack, this one's an exploit, this one is acceptable? Other games, like Dragon Champions, for instance, have a 4x multiplier in game. Okay, great, but that maybe would create players where they would still want to try and go even faster. So back to Raid, if there's a 4x multiplier inside the game, some players are going to hack to go to 8x, right? Players are always going to want to try and do a little bit more. Back to Dragon Champions, they have at least instant battles. No need to hack if you have instant battles now, right? Also, for an optimizer, Dragon Champions has it built in, so everybody has access to it. Therefore, it is fair for everybody. All I want here, guys, is this game to be fair for everybody across the board. I don't think that a handful of players get to benefit from an extra hack or exploit or tool, call it what you want. And that is why I did the video that I did. I had everybody's best interest in mind. And again, if you do not agree with that, then let's agree to disagree. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.